Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in today to another great episode of Canadians with Disabilities and Their Allies, also known as PWD Allies Podcast, on your favorite app where you find it most suitable to join in and check out your audio version of the podcast. Today, we have our roundtable number 6, the 6-pack. Yes, and there's more than maybe 6 of us that will be joining in today, but 6-pack is where we start, and yeah, and we'll continue on where we left off. It's all about affordability, and that's what our discussion is today. Different viewpoints. It's always great to hear everyone's viewpoints on about affordability. Is it basic income? Is it GLBI? Is it well, you name it. That's what we're going to be talking about. So
right now we're only a 4-pack, so we kind of got ripped off, Brent.
We got ripped off. Oh,
I think you should take this back to the store and get another 2.
Get a refund.
You mean to tell me you drank 2 before you got here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm already blitzed. So.
It's shrinkflation.
That's how I do my job so well, Brent.
Yeah.
I'm always inebriated on the show. That's how it goes so well. just like yesterday's show.
Yeah.
I have all four food groups in my coffee cup.
I got some Adam's ale here, also known as water, for those people that for my grandparents used to say it that way. So
it's like yesterday's show. I ended up taking a phone call right on air. It was my service provider that phoned me. And I said, no, I don't call during this time. What do? They call me. I mean, gee, wow.
And next time you tell me it's okay, Neil, I'm gonna say no.
No, it's not okay, Brent.
I'm gonna kill it right now.
Yeah, it's like you're muted. You're simulated, Brent. You're simulated. All right, well, let's jump in, everybody on the call that's today, and anyone else that has
we've got Dan trying to join here, so I'm going to add him.
Oh, great. Okay.
So he's coming.
Well, then I'll just wait till Dan joins in, and we'll start the segment then. Okay. I believe Joseph will be coming on too. He's got the link, so yeah. So
we're only missing 1 bottle of beer then.
One bottle. Well, but we got a 5-pack anyway. I mean, maybe it's downside.
I think what we should do is
different.
We should do one of these episodes where we all use the avatars just for fun.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Dan. How are you? Hello, Dan. Dan's joining. Dan. Bueller. Dan.
Is there?
He's muted.
He's muted. Yeah.
Oh, he's muted. Oh,
Dan is muted on purpose because he's sitting in a bar right now. So I deeply apologize.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, hey, Dan.
Oh, it's okay. We're talking about beer, so it's fine.
Yeah, we're saying we got a 5-pack here right now.
We got a 5-pack of beer right now, or 5.
Well, we're just waiting for Joseph.
So we're 1 short of a
shrinkflation. Instead of getting
shrinkflation. Yeah, there you go.
Well, you know those the little cans of pop that you can get at the grocery stores that are like super tiny now.
Yeah, the mini ones. Yeah.
When I first saw those, I was like, really? But they actually started off with those little like Coke bottles, like tiny Coke bottles in the grocery stores. I saw them at 7-Eleven. And I'm like, really? This is like a taste test, you know?
It's like my like the little pink unicorn that I got sitting right behind me. It's magic, right? It's just poof, big and turns
What-
into small. It's just magic. It just
I went to a wine testing thing once, and I was doing the photography for the winery, and they handed me this little thimble thing for the glass of wine. I'm like, well, that's not gonna get me through this gig.
yeah. That's like how many do you need to have in order to make up to a tall one, a tall boy? I call them tall boys.
Well, luckily you could go to the wine store and buy the wine in the bottle or the box that they
Right.
actually had a store there, but they were just handing out these little mini wine glasses, those little plastic ones, and I was like, yeah, that's not gonna get me very far.
No, that's when you need to get a straw. Just there you
Now
go.
we got Joseph. So we got
Well-
our official 6-pack now.
All
Now we-
right. Say, anyways, you
There
know,
we
not
go.
that not we're all alcoholics and going and being drunk out of our gourds. I mean, honestly, I so rarely drink that. I mean, I opened a bottle of beer or a bottle of red wine for beef, barley soup, and the bottle is still sitting there, and I
Yeah.
haven't had any.
Yeah.
It's like that's like I don't drink really.
I should say I don't drink
Oh.
either.
Yeah.
I quit like 6 years ago, so
I used to drink a little bit, but now my gut can't even handle it, so I don't even.
I mean, Sonia's mom comes by and she loves to have her wine. Like literally, she dropped the bottle off and like it was sitting in our fridge for like, oh my gosh, 6.5 months.
Mhm.
It's like,
Hmm.
wow, okay.
So it's there for the time she came back and visited,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, she's like,
Well,
what's wrong?
it's
What's wrong with both of you? I go, well, we left it for you, actually.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
here's a good question for you. If you quit smoking, you quit drinking, you quit going out, you quit spending frivolously, right? You work for a living, but you support basic income. Are you the devil?
Well,
Oh,
the question
like,
about that.
heaven forbid you quit all of the vices and you still support basic income. I guess you're not the lowlife they think you are.
Yeah,
Right?
that's a myth. I'm a horrible person. I must need help.
Well, we got since we have everyone here. Well, let's start our discussions on the income inequality. I'll start with you.
We've got MJ. MJ's kind of cut off a little bit. Is there any way you can shift over your chair? Just I don't know why, but the screen is
let me-
kind of. Yeah, just shift over. That's a bit
Oh,
better. Yeah.
Sorry,
Well,
I'll adjust I'll adjust the camera.
We wanted
There
you
go.
to be part of the show rather than half your face,
or it's me. It's way over there. Like what?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's part. You see, because when I switch to the virtual background with the kaleidoscope, I want them to
Yep.
see the kaleidoscope while we're talking. So we hypnotize them.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna
That's what
start.
Walmart. That's what
I'm gonna start
Walmart does with its
Dan
lights.
today. Yeah. I'm going to start off with Dan, and then we'll make our way around. So Dan, how would a basic income or a GLBI or a UABI, any version of income supports, whatever we call it, in your view, how do you feel that is really going to have an impact on a person's life in different ways, like in so many ways, how it will change a person's life for the better? I mean, meaning like say an RGI and also having like a basic income type of income.
Well, I hope the noise in the background isn't too much for you guys. My bad.
It's actually really
it's,
quiet.
right
It's
now.
actually really quiet.
It's fine. It's quiet. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, no, like I was saying to somebody today, we definitely need a basic income coming in, right? Because if you don't, like, what are we going to do to survive, right? Never mind inflation, but prices are going up. Everything's going up. How's everybody supposed to survive in a situation where you got to eat, you got to drink, you need water, you need food to survive, right? And if you don't have any of the income to provide that for yourself and your family, and if you don't have the income to provide that for just going forward, how are you supposed to survive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, money really makes a huge difference in a person's life. It changes their whole outlook on how they can support their local communities. They can travel across the country. They can go to other provinces. They can support their local communities, small businesses. I don't care about the big businesses because they're doing okay. They're doing quite well for themselves. But it gives people choices of where they can go. They want to go and take care of a loved one in another province. I mean, God forbid, right? Right now, they need permission to go. They don't need permission to go. I always joke around, but I'm serious at the same time. When I joke around, it's like, where's that hall pass, Brent? You need 30 days. You ask permission. Tell your provincial government you're leaving. No, just go, Brent. You need to go. You don't need permission.
You actually, if you leave the province even for 10 days on ODSP, you will actually be docked those 10 days on your next amount. It's so punitive.
I love to talk to the
disgusting.
policymakers, Ellen. I'd love to talk to the policymakers who make those decisions. When they say these things, I'm going to try and do what I can do to get them onto the show. That would be great, and change their whole outlook on things. Like, we got to modernize things. Like, they got to listen to lived experience. Like, would they like to have that done onto them? Probably not.
Well, I mean, I'd love to be able to ask these policymakers, exactly how do you think that going and slapping someone with 5 audits on their disability, all at the same time, is that pushes them to think like, will it make for you people to stop? And they seriously end up considering suicide to make them stop. That's what they did to me. That's not a joke. And when I think about this type of abuse of power through ignorance and the excuse of I'm doing my job, I'm sorry, but I have this problem with people who think that, well, I'm employed, this is my job, so I just have to do it, like it or not. It's like, no, you don't have to do it. Everything in law can be changed. And most of everything with British Columbia with welfare and disability is done through internal regulation, not through law. I've actually read the laws with regards to the Disability and Welfare Act. They're a skinny document. They're designed to allow for the regulation from within. So these rules and regulations that they've created from within to abuse and torture people are things that can be easily changed without having to go through the BC legislature. They can be done from within the ministry, with the minister saying, we're changing the directive and this is what we're doing. That's as easy as it is. So any excuse from these politicians, is purely an excuse for them to continue to abuse people, right? That's where I have a problem with the British Columbia welfare and disability system, is because there are no limits of what they can do and there's no limits of what they can't do, right? And there's no amount that they are set by law that they have to go and hand out to people. It's all done through internal rules and regulations. It's insanity.
It's like the latest meeting that I had with the Honorable Minister for Social Development, Poverty Reduction in British Columbia, with Sonia and Jeff L. Leggett and myself. We met, and we were told that it's going to take 2 years before they come up with a new computer system that's going to state-of-the-art computer system that's going to handle bigger rate increases rather than small little increases, because the system can't handle big increases. 2 years. They want to build a super model computer system, state-of-the-art. It's gonna be great.
Sounds like Big Brother 1984 to me, but
why?
What do I know?
Why can't they just go and say, okay, we'll just have this run through the unemployment system? Or, because here's the thing, is the unemployment system runs exactly the same as the current welfare system in BC, except for asking you whether or not you've been in jail and other things like that, right? All these forms of mean testing are basically the same thing in unemployment at the federal level, right? This is where this level of extreme overlap is where tax dollars get wasted on idiocy that go from actually being able to help people to go and figuring out, oh, how much money is this going to cost us? Hundreds of millions, hundreds of thousands, billions. I mean, when we're taking a look at what this money could be doing to help people, why are we making it so complex? Why are we just turning this into a gong show to find excuse after excuse to go and literally just make people's lives more difficult? It's
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
I don't
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
buy
What's
the
your on that, Neil?
yeah, like as a technological geek, like I'm a total chiphead, right? Like I've spent my whole life in jobs basically being tech support kind of guy.
Yeah, same here, right?
And I don't believe the technical excuse. Like you can look at the bus pass as another example. I mean, they're like, whoops, sorry, we destroyed the computer. There's no way we can reinstate the bus pass because we destroyed the computer. Well, I'm sorry, but if the the elderly people are still getting the bus pass, so if they can still get the bus pass, I bet you dollar to donuts that if they really wanted to, they could very easily put the bus pass back to people with disabilities, but they're just not inspired to do so. That's the
There's
bottom
no,
line.
there's,
It
there's
has
no,
Yeah.
nothing to do with
No, Will.
technology.
Yeah, it definitely can be done because I mean, as you all know, I mean, that Neil knows too. I mean, I've been working with computers since my gosh,
same.
since I was just a little kid, and I used to tear computers apart, put them back together, reprogram them, making sure the cables are all in there nice and tight, that they're not grinding against
Right.
their drive, and all of a sudden it starts grinding. Oh shit,
See,
whoops,
Well, exactly,
And
Brent.
my-
I mean, and I'm a computer guy as well. I've been doing
Yeah.
computers since the VIC-20. Okay, so I've done basic programming, I've done PHP programming, I've done websites, I've field stripped computers, I can do laptops, I can do Androids, I can do it all if I really want to, but none of it interests me anymore, really, except for a few minor, maybe doing
Yeah.
websites. But when it comes to solving these problems,
Hmm.
these guys are the masters of excuses.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sorry, but I just don't accept your excuses anymore. You guys are making excuses. There's software that's used over here. You could easily duplicate it. You could easily go and say, oh, well, they have the same program. Well, let's just go and create a separate division with a separate accounting inside that program. Because guess what? Everything is a database-based programming. Everything just takes to going and updating a field here or adding a field there and going and saying, oh, they're the seniors program here, the income assistance program over here. It just takes adding a field, and that's it. One
Oh yeah,
field
I
of
mean,
data
I'm
and
not,
Excel and a database and a curation, and that's it. We're talking less than maybe 3 hours.
You know-
3
you know,
hours
I
to
mean-
solve this problem.
They could literally copy the
Yes,
program
yeah,
that they
copy
could literally
Exactly,
copy
they
the
could do
program
that
that
too.
used for the elderly bus pass, copy it over the exact same program and paste it and say,
Yeah.
instead of calling it the elderly bus pass program, we'll call it the PWD bus pass program, and it'd be the exact same program, but
Yeah,
just
it's
a
batch
Same
titled a
coding.
different name. That's all they would
Yeah.
have to do.
I know.
I
I
mean,
mean,
they're just batch files, and that's all they are. And I
Yeah.
used to play with batch
well, no,
files.
we're into
Oh.
databases.
Yeah,
Aren't
they're
This
we?
all-
is a database, but
Yeah.
but they basically
Well,
just have to copy and paste and rename.
Yeah.
Have two databases, one for the one for the disabled, one for the elderly,
Right,
and
and
you're
yeah.
done. You're done. You're
Right,
done.
and I was just going to go with making a new field. So making a differentiating field, it'll be one for
Or you
seniors,
could do
one
that
for,
too. You could do that. too,
and
yeah.
that's maybe a couple hours.
yeah, yeah.
Right, that's
I
a
mean-
couple hours. I mean, I'm a
I'm not-
programmer. I know how fast this stuff can be done with professionals. So all
I'm
these
not,
things are excuses.
I'm not
Yeah,
computer
exactly.
savvy, but at the same time, I was able to figure out that if I pushed Option R because I use a Mac, I could create a completely new library in the photo app that was separate from the regular photos. So I can close my photo app down, reopen it, but hit Option R before, and it creates a complete new library for f-style pictures. So if I have clients and I don't want their photos getting merged into my albums that are accessed by my iPad and my iPhone, I can create on my Mac a brand new library. It takes like 2 seconds. And if I want to go back to my original library, I just close the app down, click Option R again, and choose my album rather
Well,
than the f-stop app.
anyways,
And that's Apple, right?
right. Well, this is the thing is when I look at these problems, that these people give excuses for. It's like, see, the worst part is it almost feels like sometimes, you need to go in with an army of people, Brent, so that know this stuff. So when they give these excuses, you can sit there and say, what are your thoughts on that? And then they can be ripped to shreds in about 30 seconds, because that's really how it is, right? That's easy how, because these people really, the government is masters excuses. Their idea is to get you, the people that want to talk to them, out of their office as quick as possible so they can carry on with their day and the agenda that they're doing, right? I mean, this is not rocket science. This is the truth of the matter.
Ellen will appreciate
Hamilton, by
this
the way.
too. Like as a photographer, Ellen, you know this, that all of our photo editing software, most of the photo software out there it's called non-destructive edits, right? When you make an edit, it's called a non-destructive edit, which means that you can go back and make as many changes as you want to a photo, but it's non-destructive. You can easily go back to the original, right?
Oh yeah.
Government can do that too, but they're like, sorry, we
They already do that.
Can't
That's called offsetting.
Yeah, and they're like,
That's
we can't do that.
That's already what they do. They already clog you back. If you make a boo-boo and you attest to something and you collect some money from the government, you're not entitled to it. They're taking it back.
Yeah.
They're calling back your GST. They're calling back your provincial credits. They're calling back your baby bonus. They're calling back your income tax refunds. They're going to take it back. They already do it. It's called offsetting.
Yeah.
The problem is that they offset too much. They offset too much. And to attest to your earlier discussion about transit, in Hamilton, Ontario, where I am, they just announced that the end of free transit for people with disabilities.
Oh my God. Terrible.
So that's no longer free. Now they have to apply to a program where they're going to get a 30% reduction in fare. And they say that that's actually going to have access to more people.
Oh, that makes
sense. Kidding me?
So you can thank BC for that then.
Yeah.
See, we set the template.
Yep.
Yeah.
See, and this is where, the big discussion comes back into a federal program, because the provinces can't seem to go and act accordingly, right? Mm-hmm. They cannot seem, right? They don't care.
They act accordingly to their own political structure and their own finances, and not Canada as a whole.
An agenda.
And we need. We do stabilization, or we do equalization payments in Canada, but they are nowhere near what it actually should be. And you know what? Basic income is equalization, just at a bigger scale, way bigger scale.
Right. And it actually gives people to put money back in their pockets so they can afford the things that they want to afford.
Yeah.
Right? Or need to afford.
Give them back their bus pass. Hey, give them back their bus pass.
Well, I mean, it goes beyond that. It's like you'd have the money for the bus pass. You'd have enough money. You wouldn't have to worry about scrimping and saving.
Well, here's a funny
you'd have the plan for the money for the bus pass.
Right.
You have the plan way before you even get the money. Right now with social services, you have to beg and plead and fill out your form and cross your fingers and go like this and pray and hope that the worker just doesn't hit reject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is where the problem is these people, and this is where, to me, when I look at the ideas that I propose, they're, how do I put this? In a way, they're heartless to the people that are employed. But at the same time, it's very empathetic and sympathetic to the people that truly need the money, right? Because these are the people that are getting screwed. It's not just us people that are disabled. It's elderly, it's unemployed, it's people that are injured on the jobs. It's, single moms that are having to pay for daycare so they can try to put a roof over their head. They're scrimping and saving, trying to go and get this, or single fathers, either or you got people, trying to start a life, and you have the government just going and making life more difficult. And, if you're disabled, they make it difficult for you to go and get your driver's license. If you're this or that, they've made it difficult. And to me, this is where I look at the idea of a federal program where it's basically a take it or leave it. If you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. Right.
Mhm.
And that's where it eliminates all of this constant infighting and fighting with people, and people having a job that they hate or they love just because they love to stick it to people. Some people are like that. They really are. They end up getting fired. You mentioned that in the first or second episode about that lady that ended up looking for a job, you know, and
Yep.
then you went and sat down and talked to her and explained it to her. And she was like, and realized, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was doing. You know?
Yeah.
We got a comment in chat from Branwen. She's in chat, and
Okay.
Yeah. Hi,
she
Brandon.
she says one of the most dehumanizing things I've ever experienced is the welfare office.
Yes, and I can echo that, Brandon. I mean, I live in Victoria, and I literally I try to avoid going there as much as I need to. I only go there if I really have to. Why? For one reason, it's inaccessible. The transit stops, they don't even stop at the bus stop. They don't even they I don't know, they're scared about pulling up to the curb or something. They pull up partly halfway, and then you gotta kind of leap off and hope that you don't trip and fall and onto the curb, right? You get out the front door. I mean, yeah, it's not lined up with the actual ramp to go down. Some cases onto the sidewalk, so you have to really, I have to really watch my footing. For me, I'm fortunate that I can navigate not too bad getting off the bus, but I still have to be careful because I have had a couple occasions where it wasn't lined up right, and I misjudged the sidewalk a little bit, and I literally I grabbed onto the rail getting off the bus, and I literally almost slipped and fell. And to me, it's a huge accessibility issue, and yeah. But anyway, with that being said, regarding about the welfare office or disability office, we have a bunch of tent cities going on right down near the welfare office, disability office, and they're literally parked in front of the building, right on the sidewalk. You can't even walk on the sidewalk, and if there is a spot on the sidewalk, there's somebody that's laying down on the sidewalk, stretched out. The one person was doing their drugs right there, right in broad daylight. Cop went by, just ignored them. Yeah, just ignored them. Nothing to see here. It's just terrible, the circumstances that people are going through. And then when they do go in there into the office, I hear I had to drop off a form one day. It was for a medical form, and there's a security officers right there inside the building at the door, only letting in so many people. And someone said, well, I need to get in because I have an appointment. No, you've already been in here. You caused a ruckus. You need to be out there, and that's where you belong. I thought, wow, like you're talking to people like that. And then they wonder why. The government wonders why that there's that receptive, because it's that behavior of the behavior pattern of like, if you do unto others, you do unto, if you want to be treated with disrespect, right? Well, then how are you treating yourself, right? And I don't know the circumstances with the individual who wanted to come in, but they said, well, that's where you belong. You belong out on the street. So yeah, I hear you, Brenwin.
Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I mean, if you treat people like animals, you're going to get animal behavior, right?
Right.
I mean, it's
yeah,
driving people to a feral state. It's inevitable.
Because they're all on the street there, and I don't. Everyone needs some kind of home, somewhere to go to, and then the city says, "Oh, you can't be there." They shoot them on to somewhere else. Where are they gonna go? Yeah.
We have Joseph with his hand up. I just wanted
to Joseph. I was gonna play a little clip here. It was from the Bonita Zarello this morning. It was about the airlines. There was an issue going on about people with disabilities. I want to share this with everybody. I'm just going to turn the volume up nice and loud. And she gave a little speech here. So anyone listening on the podcast later, it's MP Bonita Zarello, and she's in Port Coquitlam area. If I get that right. Sorry, Bonita, if I get your area wrong. I always screw that up every time. But anyway, she's quite an advocate for people with disabilities in her community and across British Columbia and across Canada. She's fighting for DERB. She is putting pressure constantly on the federal government. They're like little children, kicking and screaming and hollering and biting and scratching everything they can not to help people with disabilities. But what she's saying is about the accessibility issue on airlines. So I want everyone to take on that. Essential. Okay, here we go.
But so too must accessibility for persons with disabilities who continue to be impacted by barriers in transportation. There is no more high-profile example of this than last week when the wheelchair of the chief accessibility officer did not accompany her on her flight home from Ottawa. She was left without her essential mobility device. There are so many stories like this, Madam Speaker. Persons with disabilities being disrespected, disregarded, degraded, and put in dangerous situations because there is no accountability for the failures of industry. Too many persons have had similar experiences across Canada, showing how ill-equipped air transportation is in dealing with accessibility concern. But so too must accessibility for persons with.
So yeah, basically that's what she had to say. Disrespected, degraded. Basically, I'm sure she wanted to say a lot more in her speech, but yeah, that pretty well she said it in a nutshell. And that comes down to accessibility again, and accountability. I mean, to Air Canada. Air Canada obviously is not respecting, or any airline needs to follow suit with an example of that. Basically, the MP who used to be in British Columbia under the former BC Liberal government, Stephanie Cadieux. She was actually assigned as the chief executive officer for accessibility in Canada, and so great, Stephanie. That's congratulations on that, by the way, for your appointment on that. But not congratulations on how you were disrespected by a national carrier. Some people call it Trudeau carrier, or whoever is the federal government. Trudeau Airlines, I don't know, I'm Air Canada, but wow, nothing against you personally on that, but you need to do better. You need to do better about accessibility. I don't know about other airlines that are doing that, but it really gives the airline industry a really black eye on that. That's like someone saying to me, "Oh, Brent, you don't need glasses. You can see 20/20 vision." Really? You know me? No, you don't know me. Or you could run a mile. I could run a mile. Yeah, just don't get me to read anything far away because I couldn't see it. Well, hey, the stop sign. What? Where? Boom. With no glasses on. Or Neil, that's like something to you, Neil. Well, here's a wheelchair. This one works good for you because it's a wheelchair. No, a wheelchair is what works good for the individual. Is designed for that person. That's who they are, right? It's and what I heard in response to the airline is that apparently they just gave Stephanie a wheelchair that's there. It didn't work for her. I talked to when I was at, anyone who knows that I was actually at the BC legislature just recently and watching our question period. I bumped into one of the current MLAs that are actually in the opposition. I'll say it's the BC United Party. They used to be formerly the BC Liberal Party. But I had a conversation with Alice Ross, and he said, "Brent, did you hear about Stephanie Cadieux about the airlines?" And I said, "I did. I'm really disgusted about that." And he says, imagine taking away a wheelchair, saying you can't take that on, but we're going to give you another wheelchair in exchange, and this one will work good for you.
Yeah.
No, that's like saying, can you give me the tools to help me navigate around so I can, be more accessible wise through the airport and get onto my plane, or I need to get through another area of the airport or wherever, and no, it's like someone saying, well, I'm going to pick up that wheelchair. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to carry you up to another flight of stairs. No, give me a ramp.
Your wheelchair becomes such a part of you that it becomes your own personal legs, so to speak.
Yes.
And so when you say, we'll just give you another wheelchair, that's equivalent to just chopping off somebody's legs and saying, okay, go and walk now. That's basically the equivalency of it.
Well, that's what I said to him. I said, that's like telling somebody, well, go and run up those stairs. I can't. Oh, well, we made that easier for you. No, or it's like getting that wheelchair and carrying up a flight of stairs, saying, well, there you go. Well, no, why didn't you just give me a ramp so I could do it myself? You know, so that's my point of that. So
Anyway, Joseph did have his hand up.
sorry,
so I just
Joseph.
wanted to go through the hands here.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make a note to everybody that I've been reading through the briefs that were sent to the Senate in regards to basic income. And out of all of the briefs that were received, which was how many? 2, 4, 6, 8. There was 11 briefs that were submitted, right? Or 10 briefs. And out of those 10 briefs, not once did they ever mention the 25% or 15% scenarios or what they could do.
Oh boy.
So Coalition Canada Basic Income, Proof, We're Together Ending Poverty, Basic Income Canada Network, University of British Columbia, which was Zhang Zhao, which testified at the Senate meeting. As an individual, Dr. Forget, Evelyn Forget, testified. Basic Income Alberta, Basic Income BC. As an individual, the chair of the Finance Committee, which is not a senator. He used to be a senator, but he's not a senator now. And he supports basic income. He actually said in his letter that he was happy to sit across the aisle from Cusickall and debate him on it. So, Lanark Basic Income Network and Vancouver Rape Relief and Women's Shelter. Now, the last two, the Lanark Basic Income Network and Vancouver Rape Relief and Women's Shelter briefs, their receive date is so late, it probably was not studied before they met. Like the Vancouver Rape Relief one and Women's Shelter, their organization, it says it was received on October 25th, which was after the meeting date. Even though their actual document says that they put it in on the 16th. So it might have been read, it might not have been read. But the dates don't match up. So it makes me worry that they actually didn't see it. And they have some good points in there about women and how susceptible that they are, especially with disabilities as well. So, you know, like, there's some really good briefs there, folks. I've shared the link with Brent in case any of them need it. I would suggest reading through them. They're actually quite enlightening in regards to a lot of the talking points that we have. And a lot of it is the exact same things that we say here.
Send that to me, Brent.
All too well. It's everything that we say here. It is what they need to regurgitate by costing us millions of dollars to do it.
Yeah, you know, like when I keep saying it over and over again, and I'm sorry if I do, but you know, I spent 7 years or so with the Disability Foundation, and one of the last projects that we did was like 5 years worth of study, and it was in conjunction with the provincial government, and it was a partnership with as well with UBC. So it had the academia support of UBC and the full support of the provincial government, and so it was trying to get people with disabilities employment. But it was also like the barriers to employment, and so the government said we want to know the barriers. We want to know what are the sticking points, right? So as a person, like, I was one of the people in charge with like interfacing with the clients, and I took it very seriously. Like, when I did my reports, I put so much shitload of lived experience. Like, I took the client's lived experience and we talked about what's your barrier, what are your issues. And they were talking about, you know, I haven't eaten today because I'm not getting enough money, or I haven't slept today because, you know, I have bugs in my apartment, or I have smelly carpets, or my carry didn't show up today, so I wasn't able to get out of bed today. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on, and I have before. But you know, the thing that really bothers me is I put a lot of effort, and not just me, but everybody else that was involved in the project too. we all put a lot of effort into really drilling down and really putting a lot of shitload of lived experience in those reports. Like every month I was doing lived experience, and just throwing everything I could into those reports. And at the end of the day, what really pisses me off is I don't know, probably like 1/10 of 1% of that actually got filtered down to the government.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be pessimistic, but I think that's the truth, because they only want to hear, give us the success stories. Like, we only want to hear the success. We don't want to hear about the failures, or we don't want to hear about the barriers and all the rest of it. And it's almost
like they want to hear. It's like, you ask me a question, Neil, and I'll give you the answer based on what their questions are, and they're expecting the answer based on the question that they're asking. They'll mince it down into certain specific questions. And
it kind of pisses me off, because initially they say, like, give us everything, like, give us the whole, like the full picture. We want to know the full picture, and then you show them the full picture, and it's like, well, we don't want to see that.
Know the dot.
Don't show us, don't tell us, and it's just like, I'm giving it to you, and then, like, they'll just ignore it, and it's like, really, it's like, it's so frustrating.
That's like when they gave the $125 increase. Well, it only went to a certain portion. Well, but we gave $125. I had some reporters ask me, so they gave $125 to all PWD. I go, no, not all. No. Only a certain specific amount of PWD got it. Only if you could prove that your rent actually did go up. So and it's selective amount again. Like, but look,
you had to have your rent at least at $500, so you would automatically get that, right? So if your rent was $375, they weren't going to give it to you. Right?
Or if your rent was just below that buffer, 1 penny. Nope, sorry, you don't qualify.
Yeah. See, and this is where all of these programs, when I take a look at the cost benefit analysis of programs, and I'm not looking at it from the financial cost benefit analysis, I'm looking at it from the human cost benefit analysis, right? And if what we're doing is helping the humans out, the people out in the field that need the help, but we're also putting an anchor around both ankles at the same time and saying, swim, we're not helping, we're hindering, right? And this is what they seem to do. And they keep adding another bit of weight. Every so often, they keep adding a little more weight to the mix to make it more difficult for us. And to me, this is where I look at, when did it become legal for our government to torture its citizens and abuse its citizens? After, we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Is this one of those reasonable limits that they talk about? It's reasonably limiting to go and torture a certain group of people? I just sit here and I shake my head at this stuff, right? It's like, everyone should have automatically gotten the $500. In fact, I think they should just combine it, get rid of the rental portion, and put it to a proper amount and be done with it. But no, they don't. They don't want to go and do that. They want to go.
Easy to do that. Yeah.
They just want to keep screwing around with us. Oh, and as for the rent portion, they could rename that, put the entire financial part for the rent into the regular amount and call that the bus pass numbers. There you go. Problem solved.
The bus pass.
It's already in their own program, right? There you go. There it is.
The numbers guy. And actually, speaking of that, I'm going to pass over to the numbers guy, and then we're going to go over to Dan, and then back over to Alan. Numbers guy, Joseph.
Yeah, you need numbers for what?
The numbers to calculate basically the income assistance across Canada. Have you were able to pull up any more new stats on that?
No, not at the moment. Today I've been scrubbing the position site to see if there's anything new for DERB, which unfortunately there's not. There is one up right now through MP at Fast about MAID.
Well, there's always lots of
Yes.
discussion on MAID, but nothing for DERB. Yeah, I know.
I would
There
like
is
to rename that.
Yeah.
right.
One of these things is not like the other. One of these
No.
things
Listen,
is
the only
not
reason
the
why they
same.
let May go, only reason why they let May go is because they know that somebody is sweeping them under the floor. That's the only
Yeah.
reason why they let May stick.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Like a pink unicorn, you know. You know.
Well, I mean,
So regards to numbers, hopefully by next week, because the PBO had requested that the Senate had requested that the PBO have all the numbers on GLBI by Halloween.
Oh.
So
interesting.
next Friday might be an interesting show if they publish it publicly. If it is, you may find Joe like crunching some seriously brand new numbers that have not been out there yet.
And a trick could be a treat of numbers.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, when that report comes out, it will come out publicly, but I don't know how it's going to be released and if it's going to be wait until the Senate meets on it or if it's going to be released right away. I don't know. I've never seen this happen myself, so I couldn't tell you. I'm sure it happens all the time, but I don't know what the timeline of the meetings are for the reports. So I'm waiting. It is the report that you have heard me begging for 2 years, Brent. This is the exact report that we wanted. The question is, will they have all three scenarios throughout the whole report, or are they going to be piecing it together as they time allows, like the last one?
Yeah, that's something
They didn't
that
give them long. They gave them 2 weeks to come up with the report. They didn't give them long. So, and they said right at the beginning of the report, no, we have not updated our numbers since 2021.
My gosh. Oh.
So they're asking them to do it within 2 weeks.
Yeah, my hunch, and I was saying this to Sonia earlier before the show started. I said, I think that they're going to the feds are going to come out with the a GLBI faster than that Canada Disability Benefit. I think something's going to get rolled out a lot faster.
I said that the other day.
Together.
I said watch the basic. I said watch the basic income be rolled out before before the disability benefit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a bit of a
I
cold,
think
so I'm all
both are
slurry.
going to
But
be rolled out at the same time in a July timeframe at the beginning of the fiscal year. I think they'll both come out at the same time.
See, one of the things that I look at, I mean, I'm looking at currently the costs of the current programs that we currently have going on. Those are the numbers that I'm looking for, because see, if I can prove that, hey, we're already spending, right, $500 billion on all of these benefit programs, we already have basically like we already basically have UBI, but the way it's been organized is goofy. So if we just
fragmented,
totally.
So
I mean, it's like MJ. It's like all the like CPP, all the child tax credits, GST. I mean, OAS, GIS. I mean, you name it. They're all there. It's just it's all distributed and kind of here and there. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And this is where to me, and this is where I mean, I do I get angry about this because it's like, they say, I've had people tell me, I mean, and I talk to a lot of conservatives and libertarians, PPC people, because I'm for small government and small efficient government. I'm at one of these people. It's like, if it could be done by a computer, let's do it by a computer and get rid of the people and get these people to take these skills they've learned and put them where they'll be earning a real income and not a government salary. Because for the most part, we all know that in the private sector, you can earn a lot more than in the public sector, because there's certain things that just hold you down. I mean, and some jobs will just absolutely go away with a universally available basic income or GLBI or whatever it is. Jobs will disappear. This is unfortunate.
It is.
MJ, how long before those workers are eliminated anyway? Will we end up with an automated system anyway?
Well, I can give you an example on that one.
If I may.
I remember years ago where there was a worker in one of the ministry's offices. They were downsizing, and I was working. I was doing maintenance at the time for McDonald's, and there was a lady that they laid off a whole bunch of workers, and the lady came walking in, and she was looking for a job at McDonald's. I mean, wow. I mean, she wanted to, because she loved customer service, but and she wanted to provide service to her clients, but as a worker, right? And that was all she was used to. But she thought, well, work for a crown corporation. I mean, she thought, well, McDonald's, right? I said, well, I don't know what my boss needs. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough, right? I mean, it's sad because I think there's going to be a lot of jobs shedded across governments more and more as time goes on.
Like people, what a lot of people don't understand. Sorry, Ellen. A lot of people don't understand is that AI is gonna be taking a role in and computers and technology and all the rest of this stuff, right? It's already been, if it's can be programmed to do this and send out the checks on a certain day at a certain time. Why do we need a human being here, right? And the government is trying to figure out ways to automate all of these things as much as possible. I mean, they're already talking about being able to do your tax returns if you have a, certain, if like for us that are on disability, they're talking about for us to be able to do the automated tax returns. And I'm like, well, why don't we just simplify the whole tax system so we do everybody all at once while we're doing this? Let's simplify, because the money for all of these solutions is there. There's a lot of people that can be retrained. There's a lot of jobs out there that will go away over time. I mean, you take a look at the level of automation that corporations are using now to build, for example, automobiles.
Oh yeah, huge.
Like, for example, you got Tesla with a mega press that builds the entire frame of the car. That used to be done by like 20 people, 40 people, 50 people, right? These are jobs that have gone away over the time. That's private industry. Now we're end up doing the same thing in government because we're now left with no choice.
Yeah, you look at these grocery stores that now even like Dollarama and Dollar Tree, you name it, and all the other grocery stores, all automation stuff everywhere. Shoppers Drug Mart, they're famous for that. They have one teller, that's it. All the other ones, just automation. And speaking of that, I'm going to pass it over to Dan. Dan, what are you seeing in your area? Are you seeing more automation stuff going on, like more stores that have less cashiers and more automated self-serve checkouts? Because I know here we are, it's crazy. Paging Dan.
But if not, I do have a point about automation and shopping.
Sure. Yeah. And in the meantime, and when Dan comes on, and yeah, sure.
I don't know where you are, Dan, but I have seen just a recent report that said that there was Loblaws is now having a policy of if you have a full cart of groceries, you're not allowed to use self-checkout anymore.
Oh.
Now, my response to that is go ahead and put 3 more cashiers in cash registers, because if you have just one and you're telling me that I'm not allowed to take a full cart of groceries and go scan it myself, and I have to wait in line for your one cashier you're willing to pay, then I got a problem with that, because those things cost money and already cost jobs. They better be working and better be convenient.
Well, exactly. I mean, I use the self-checkouts at Walmart because they usually have 1 or 2 tills and they're all lined up. Sometimes I get lucky and there's a cashier that has no one in her line, and I will make a mad dash to the cashier, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, and I'm like, I could have,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like customer service, MJ. Like that personal touch with having that interaction with a person, and the big corporations will find a way of trying to get more automation. But I'm like you. If I see a cashier there and there's maybe 1 or 2 people ahead of me, fine, I'll line up there, and just to go and have that done where you can interact with somebody rather than just a robot, like a machine. I mean,
well, I mean, I just like the machines to get a little more attitude, tell you to take your crap and go, and
Not only that, but you're justifying somebody's job by using them.
Right, exactly. And the biggest problem that we have is, because my mom works at Walmart, one of the things they are finding with these self-checkouts is they're having a lot of theft.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
right.
They're
So,
harassing a lot of people who are walking out with the
Yeah.
who are honest. Like I was getting the stink eye from this. I had to scan a bunch of vegetables. And I was getting these stink eye from the assistants, like moving along, kind of like hovering over me. Like it was
Right, but
really degrading.
right,
Actually,
but Ellen, here's the thing. The reason why theft is on the rise is because people are not given enough goddamn money.
yeah, exactly, right. That's the
Why?
catch.
That's why.
It's like, do you guys in government think, well, we need for money for this, we need more money for that? Well, fine and dandy, okay, but we have all these pension funds that we have the Canada Pension Fund. I was just looking at their money that they're investing in. They are not investing in Canadian corporations in a mass. There are dozens of Canadian corporations, hundreds of them out there, and they could be investing in to go and help grow the economy. There's this money here. They have investment ability, but they're not. They'd rather go and invest in other corporations that are American and including in BlackRock, right? So to me, when I sit here and I take a look at the people running our government, running the investment branches of the Canada Pension and unemployment stuff, it's like, are you people even working for the benefit of Canada? Or are you really just not, because the goal should be, even for the EI investment fund or whatever it is over there, should be to go make sure that A, there's enough money, and B, that we're investing to keep people employed so they don't need the funds, right? And if we do need the funds, there's the ability to go and send these people to be retrained without too much of a problem, right? And this is where, to me, I look at the government through multiple lenses. I know that they're self-serving at this particular venture in time, but what I look at them is, you shouldn't be self-serving. You should be of service to the people that have put you in office. And that's not how it works. So,
but MJ, the reason why the CPPIB invests internationally is to keep the Canadian dollar strong. And the logic for that is, if we only invested in Canada and not internationally, international countries and corporations would ignore us when we want their money. Okay. And B, it would deflate our dollar, because all we're doing is propping up our own dollar. Right? We need to make sure that our investments,
well, that's just the
currencies, helps to keep our dollar up as well.
Right. What I'm talking about is they're buying in stocks and bonds and these other corporations for investments.
Because they need to invest in other currencies.
Right. And I know they need
invest in Canadian dollars.
Right. And I understand they need for ROI and all the rest of this stuff. I get it. I do understand investment. But at some point, there has to be, like, we have this Canada Investment Bank that doesn't work for us really at all. We have this Asia, we have all these investment banks, but how much investment is actually being invested into Canada? We have roads that are falling apart. We have hospitals.
is one of the best pension funds in the world. They really are, because of how diverse they are. And because they're an independent board, they do very well. They go to the market conditions, not to the political conditions.
Well, that's true.
And so they perform really well because of the international investments that they make. Now, do they make Canadian investments? Most certainly. Here in Hamilton, if I walk into the Union Gas building over on Houston Street, it's partially owned by the CPPIB. Most of the malls that are in Canada that are from smart centers, which is what is most Walmarts are in smart centers malls. CPPIB is a major contributor to smart centers.
Okay.
Like, CPPIB invests in a lot of real estate in Canada. You may not see them in stocks and bonds, but they go a lot in real estate in Canada.
Well,
and they also invest in our teacher boards. They invest in our, they invest in corporations and boards, right? As well as also into products and stocks and bonds. They're so diverse. Like,
right.
too.
really well. Their fail rate is low.
I want
Right.
a Brent Frain bank.
Well, we could go for creating a credit union,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that there's some, all these investment boards, and to me, when I take a look at the idea
Funny.
of when it comes to solving these problems, we have all these. I mean, this is the problem: is political ideology is the biggest problem to solving problems, because it's like I say, I'm a libertarian, and the
Mhm.
fact that I'm for UBI makes no sense to most people. They're like, their brains are just losing it. They're like, that makes no sense. And it's like, that's a completely socialist program. No, it's not. My idea is about making the money accessible, take it or leave it, and getting rid of all the people in the middle.
Basic income is like the most capitalist thing ever, and they always blame communism for it. And I laugh so bloody hard because I just asked them the question, excuse me, if it's
Yeah.
communist means commonly owned, which means that the bank owns your house, but you're allowed to live there, okay? Or
Yeah.
you're assigned a job, or there's some restriction on you to save money, but also tell you to be a member or contributing to society, et cetera, et cetera. And for basic income is not communism.
I know, right?
Because
I know.
guess what? We're going to give you money to buy a house. We're going to give you money for an education and to go make a better job so you can demand a better wage. Oh, that's capitalism, not communism.
Yeah.
Well, it's like giving, I mean, when you take a look at the histories of nations that have done this, where they give their people a hand up, right? And they actually truly, benefit the people, and they show that they give these people a hand up, and then they get the ability to go and learn skills and abilities and then get their life in track. Like for the people that are out homeless, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that now that they're going to have a roof over their head, they're going to have to learn how to cook, clean, their daily living activities of showering and understanding all these things. They're going to have to relearn. I mean, a lot of people think, oh no, they'll just get back into it. No, they won't. They need to be retaught too. A lot of people are that broken out there. I mean, it's not.
I
That's
know
the
some that live in tents that I've asked them this question. I said, if a basic income hits your bank account right now, where would you be applying to live, and where would you be applying to work? And they replied back to me, well, I already work and I would continue living in my tent for now because I can't afford rent until I know I got 3 or 4 months in the bank.
Right.
Right. And this is where UBI or UABI, where I'm talking about, as it were, would be able to solve that problem, right? And this is the problem I have, is the other part of our conversation here is sure, you can throw money at the problem, but you need somewhere to house these people. And housing is the bigger part of the problem that's not actually being addressed with the governments at this point too. While they're saying, well, we're going to do housing, but they're working on it. And what we need an industrialized way to go and solve this, within 2 years, right? And that would take the government getting agreements with corporations to go and say, here's what we're building. This is how we're building these buildings, and this is what they're all going to look like. And they're going to be all designed to be this particular way, and that's it, right? And there's going to be a disability version for people that are disabled in a wheelchair or whatever, right? That'd be adjusted for them. But there'd be a regular version, disabled version. There you go. And will
they get the wheelchair that the airline provides, or will they get their own wheelchair?
Yeah, that's the big.
Oh God,
it's going to be affordable.
That's cold there, Neil. That's cold.
Look, it's absolutely horrible what has happened to some people with wheelchairs and airlines, where their chairs just left behind, and it's like, can you not make sure that one person on the plane knows the manifest of special accessible devices?
Yeah.
Like, that should be just this fucking standard card that's handed from the person who checks the people in to a person on the plane before the doors close.
Or the chief stewardess.
Card says wheelchair. Make sure it's on the plane.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah, I know. It's not rocket science. I don't
need AI to tell you how to do that.
No, yeah. I mean, the problem. One of the things that I've really noticed about this, and I got caught up in this too, is there's a lot of lack of compassion for this whole COVID thing created a lot of division, and
Oh, yeah.
really,
Uh,
it really destroyed a lot of people's empathy and compassion for each other. It's
Yeah.
divided families, right? And that still hasn't healed for many people, right? And this division for some people has gotten so deep rooted. Alan, James Bond is calling.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
did you hear that?
yeah.
My friend's English, and she lives in Canada now, so she likes like those movies like The Gentleman and like the spy type movies. So I sent her text tone as the Bond.
So,
James.
so going back,
Yeah.
this is where, with all of these things, from housing, to DERB, or from GLBI or UABI or whatever it's going to be phrased as, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
right? That's fine and dandy, but you still need housing, right?
And affordable.
Well, exactly. And for an average person, a single person, a 20-foot wide by 30-foot long building for a single person would be fine. That's 600 square feet, right? For a single person, that's not bad, right? It's a little small, it's cramped, 800 to be better, and you could go, if you got multiple corporations building these buildings across the nation, all the exact same specs, you could pump them out and solve this housing problem. But yet we don't want to see the government sits here and says, well, how do we do this? It's like, you guys sit here and keep looking at everything like it's rocket science. Nothing is rocket science except for rocket science.
Yeah.
And even Elon Musk says rocket science isn't rocket science. So
Yeah.
this is where I find this. I don't know what you call it. Like, it's like this newfound political ignorance that just manifests in their heads on how to solve problems the moment they're elected, right? Their brain goes, we don't have an idea of how to solve a problem anymore.
Yeah. I mean, what could go wrong when you allow 240,000 people into one province in 1 year? I mean, and that's just an estimate. I mean, I think the numbers are even higher.
I know things could go wrong.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we've said before, Brent. One of the things that bugs me is, again, when you have the town hall meetings, and what's the one question they always ask at the town hall meetings? Please tell us how to solve poverty. Please tell us how to solve poverty. We have no flippant idea. Please tell us how.
And then
I think they've let it drag
resign.
on. They've let it drag on so long that it's just like, okay, I think I used this analogy the other day where if you don't clean your house for a day, so what? If you don't clean your house for a week, yeah, you notice it, but if you don't clean it for a month, you're like so overwhelmed by where do I start first?
Yes, exactly.
You put it off to the next day, and we've done that with poverty, just on a bigger scale, to the point where I don't even think the think tanks know where to start. And there's so much red tape, as MJ's pointed out over the years, that we're just so tangled in this red tape. It's like we're all tied to chairs with it,
Well, that's
like
why
back
they
to
need
back.
to well, you see, Alan, that's why they just need to completely drop those programs and put a basic income or a universal affordable basic income.
I've said it's a when thing, not an if thing. I've been saying that for the last 5 years.
Well, see, it's like I'm one of these people that looks at. Oh, go ahead, Joseph.
Sorry, Joseph. Go ahead.
No, I just agree. When, not if. When, not if.
Well, and then you're right, Alan. I mean, these programs are just so screwed up now that I don't think the think tanks really know where to even begin, because they say, oh well, let's just get a new state-of-the-art computer. Well, is it really going to solve the problem? So you're just going to keep throwing more money into it. But is all the other bureaucracy?
I think the real answer is all these politicians need to go and sit there and pop a couple gummies. From the pot store, get stoned, sit there for a couple hours, get baked, and then start thinking, okay, now how do we solve the problems? Because I bet you they could. I'm just saying.
What do you think Trudeau's original idea was?
I mean, well, Trudeau's original idea was made.
Well, you just give people a basic income and let them make the decisions that are based on what their needs are, not what the government needs are.
Well, exactly, and I want
went-
to. Sorry, Ellen, go ahead.
I went to see Dennis Leary in the early 90s when he first came out with No Cure for Cancer. He said something funny. He said, people say less drugs, not more drugs. I say more drugs and give it to the right people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and I joke about the drugs, but with politicians, because I really think that maybe it might just wake them up, maybe a psilocybin experience or something, because these people are really brain dead on how to solve problems. And it's like, how is it that you go to think tanks? But, we got 10 of us between all of the shows that we've done, maybe 20 of us that have come up with solutions out of our hat that have said, have gone and come at this from different directions. My idea for UABI is we change the Divorce Act. Okay, we get rid of child benefits, we get rid of spousal support, and we throw it in there. Why? Because what happens is it gets rid of another ministry out of the provincial governments. Quite literally, it would be family maintenance and enforcement would disappear. Once everyone got caught up and they would pay it up, then they would just disappear. And that's just real, and I'm sorry, but I think that we've created so many ways to ruin people's lives, right?
Yeah. It's like an add-on. It's like an add-on to what you're saying. As like scrap the rent portion, and the idea that I came up with was a RGI, rent geared to income, but base it upon the individual, not the household, so that it actually gets geared to that person. So that if one person, say you got a household, one person leaves, well, now you're still going to have that rent geared to income. So that if the income threshold changes, you're always going to have that in place. You can now live wherever you want in the country. You don't need to be stuck in one place.
Well, exactly.
The bare fact, sorry.
Go ahead.
The bare fact of it is that we've had, during the lockdown, we had a UBI. It just was called SLRB.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they bench tested it already. That's the hilarious part. It's being whatever they call it, means tested in real time.
Right. And
they need to bump it up a little bit for inflation, but
yeah, go ahead, Em.
If you don't mind me sharing my screen for a second, I have a video for you folks.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
It's only like
can
a
wait.
minute
I have
so.
to turn on sharing.
I love
give me-
video.
Give me
I
one
love
second.
video.
Okay.
1 second. Where is it?
It's under
Okay.
security.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. There
Share
you go.
screen. There we go.
Okay, where's the popcorn?
Go ahead.
Are you going to throw the share screen over onto the stream as well?
It should share, hopefully.
Sometimes
You have
to.
you have control now, Joseph. It should be letting you. Or do I have to unpin everybody? Is it going to force me to unpin everybody or what?
You should be able to.
Or you
No, I just have to turn the setting on because it's the first time I've done it.
Okay.
You have control. I gave it to you, so.
And
You
to share
Power. You have the power.
Yeah.
I have
Have
the
the
power
power.
of numbskull. That's why I'm prime minister.
Ooh. Yeah.
Are you seeing my screen?
Not yet.
No.
Nope.
Now,
Okay.
should I try to unpin everybody then? Maybe I'll try that and see if that works. I'll just remove all the pins.
No. There we go.
Give me 1
Now I
second.
see what-
I'm gonna remove everybody here for pins.
There we go.
I don't see anything yet.
Not yet, Ghost.
Yeah, give me 1 sec. I'm just gonna remove.
Well, it should
There.
pop up on
So
Zoom.
now everybody's unpinned. So now try to share the screen now, Joseph. There you go.
Yeah, now it works.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can hear,
And
hopefully.
the show begins.
We don't hear it.
Can you hear it?
Your audio is not
Audio.
enabled. You didn't enable the audio.
Does he have to do it? Do I have to do it on my end? I don't think so.
No, it's on the top part here where it says view options. You have to go and send the audio through.
No. It's on the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah, you got the little drop down thing there.
Yeah,
It should say screen sharing. It should be able to say send audio. You know, it's amazing that I'm doing this from memory, right?
Yeah.
Not
So
just
I-
see the share
I
audio.
don't do a lot of screen share, so
Hmm.
that's why the screen share yesterday didn't work.
Hmm.
That's another good reason why we have that backup recording, Brent, because it
Yes.
ended up saving my
Here,
skin
hold on.
yesterday.
Let me just. Hey, can you say something?
Bueller?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yoda.
No, I still don't hear the audio.
Can you hear it now?
No.
Negative.
Could close caption it.
Closed caption for the thinking impaired.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We're not getting the audio, but I have heard this skit from Harlan about getting us fighting against one another.
Yeah.
And it's very
That's
true.
so true.
Can you hear
That's
it?
so true.
No.
No. But
No?
at least we have the
Closed caption.
Okay, hold on.
caption.
You might have to stop
Going
your
through my
screen share and
headphones, that's
you might have to stop your screen share and restart it.
Try that again, yeah.
Yeah.
Turn it off and on again, as they say in the IT crowd show.
Yes, no.
No.
Oh,
If you
Oh,
want,
wow.
you can send it over. I've done this.
Yeah,
Okay.
just send it over to
MJ.
yeah, okay.
Just drop it in the side chat here. We can
No, chat's disabled.
Oh,
for-
I'll enable it again here. Hold on one
Chat's
second.
disabled.
Sure.
well, I never.
Well,
Okay, and it's enabled now.
Okay. Just cancel your turn your share screen off and send the link over. Okay, I got the link. I will get you to turn off your share screen because I can't share.
There we go.
there.
Okay. Hey, let's close that
Sorry,
screen.
guys.
You tried.
sucks.
Joe. That was the main thing.
One thing I
It's a
wanted to
George
ask
Carlin clip, and it's so apparent
before
because
we
this thing was recorded so many decades ago, and it's still valid today.
Yep.
Okay.
one
I've
of
got
the things
audio.
I heard not too long ago, Joseph, and I don't know if you have the stats to back it up, but I heard a stat somewhere. It was 40%. That's the number I heard is 40% of all health budgets and crime budgets
Mhm.
in BC or maybe other provinces too can be attributed to things like domestic violence.
Hmm.
40
Oh, yes.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
up to
Oh, yeah.
40% of crime budgets and health budgets it can be attributed to domestic violence. And I thought, is that a real stat or not? Like that blew me away.
Well, here, you know what? Here's something. Other part of it is a lot of those domestic violence cases can be attributed to money.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's
Right.
my point. That's my point.
Yes.
See,
Right.
Because the government says we can't give people money.
Oh God, no. God
And,
forbid.
and but it's in like, well, you're using up 40% of
Okay,
your crime
you're
budget
all
and your
right.
health budget on.
You're right. Here
Yeah.
it is. So according to the Uniform Crime Reporting Survey, reports that at 46,918 spousal violence incidents. So 47,000 incidents.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh,
Were brought to the
Wow.
attention of the police in 2009.
oh my gosh.
Okay.
So is this a particular province?
81% involved were female victims.
Yeah.
And 19% were male victims. According to the survey, 335,000 Canadians were victims of 942,000 incidents.
Oh wow.
Does it say what
So-
province? Is that just nationwide or is that per
That's
province?
nationwide. That's nationwide. Yeah.
Nationwide, yes.
I wonder
Wow,
I wonder what the province breakdown would be for that. But yeah.
Oh, I can just imagine. I wouldn't want to actually.
I mean that's a shit
Oh.
that's a shitload of numbers.
Yeah.
And if you crunch the numbers,
Okay, so
that's a
you want the
shitload of money
costs.
too. Money
You
costs.
want the costs. You want the costs on spousal violence in Canada for 2009. Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is 14 years ago, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Now, okay.
But that's for
I'm
14 years
scrolling,
ago.
I'm scrolling. I want to scroll up.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh.
Okay, well, let's pause that. Well, we'll take a break and let's go and share George Carlin so we can get back to the point.
Intangible costs
okay.
are $5.5 billion.
Oh my God.
See, and
Wow.
a good,
Lost future income of children is 228 million. That's not having children, right? Tangible costs, 1.695, so call it 1.7 billion. And so you're talking about nearly $8 billion, which, by the way, is like 1/10 of a cost of a basic income now.
Yeah.
Just on something that nearly 15 years ago cost just for domestic violence.
Yeah. Just that. Yeah. Wow.
See, and then we can go with UBI for those people that are in prison. They can go and pay their room and board.
No, people in prison. Okay, so basic income, the GLBI that Ontario had, if you were in prison, you were not eligible for it. But when you got out of prison and put into the parole system, you would be eligible for it, and that means you can start saving for when you get out of your parole board, and you're going to be going straight onto the street to most likely another life of crime.
Well, I was kind of making a joke, but they really are trying to figure out.
I'm sorry for killing it, but it makes logistical sense, though. It makes logic sense.
Right.
That if the Vulcans were real, they would drive right past our fucking planet the way that we deal with poverty. They just drive right by.
You look at
McDonald's drive-through.
You look at the other is remember when I think it was Honorable Peter Julian had mentioned, this is going back when I used to do the Twitter space. Remember that, Joseph? I think he came on
Twitter Spaces?
Yeah, I remember that. But when he came on, he mentioned that the federal government gave out $750 billion, not million, billion dollars in liquidity. I mean, not even chump change. I mean, that's like almost $1 trillion, but 750 billion. He said he almost literally lost his lunch on that. I couldn't believe the amount, just in case. So the big banks could protect their cushion, so that when people default on their mortgages, they're going to be well taken.
And that's liquidity. That doesn't mean that that's actual money going out the door. That just means that that's credit.
See, one of the problems I have with the whole banking system is when doing all of my research, I found that what they do is when they give you the loan, they take out insurance on it. It's default insurance. So the moment you default, they're made whole. Then they seize your property and sell it again. Right? That's what the banking system does. So they say, oh, well, you made a contract to pay, you didn't pay, but they've already been made whole. And that's the truth.
And then they just go do it to the next guy who buys the equipment.
This is why in 2008, we had the whole situation, because what they were doing was they were handing out loans to people that had 500 credit score and saying, oh, you could just pay the interest. And then in 3 years, they had to start paying the principal. Well, then in 3 years from 2005, boom, things came home to roost. So the idea with UABI and GLBI is basically to give family members that cushion. Now, the difference I don't know if GLBI is going to be including like child benefits in theirs. Mine would say, okay, here's the parents' money, there's the child's money, and you can go and put it away for your child to go, or you can say, we'll put it into an investment account and let it be invested, right? Because to me, I think that investing in our future should be the key thing here. Like if we'll say, for example, Mom, just do my math, I was looking at $2,000 a month when I started doing the math. Then I almost had a heart attack, quite literally. Well, not literally, but metaphorically, when I started to see the numbers and start to realize that I would have to double UABI to $4,000 to actually keep a roof over a person's head.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was shocked.
It's
Only
magic.
Exactly. I mean, so to me, it's like if you had the child benefits, you had the parents' benefits, you had money being saved up for out of that money, at $500 a month over 18 years is $96,000. Currently, that's enough to go and buy a decent education. Hopefully by then, it would expand and would go and be able to go and put money away for a decent education at least, right? Because our goal should be helping people understand financial literacy as well. And to me, one of the things that I would be want to do with the UABI is, sure, we're going to give you free money, but we're also going to educate you on how to best use it, right? Get yourself out of debt. You owe money on credit cards, use this money to get out of debt. That way you're not paying 20% income. Use it to go and pay off your car loan, right? You got a car, you got $30,000. Use this money to pay off this loan. You got a mortgage, pay the mortgage off. Then all of a sudden, you might not need this money. You might not need it anymore. All of a sudden, you're out of debt and you go, you know what? I don't think I need this, or I might keep it and go and say, I want to reinvest it myself into whatever for myself. There are options. And I'm not, one of these things that I look at is minimal government interference in your life. I mean, that's where the libertarian in me says, is really has that fuck you mentality of just fuck off and leave me alone.
Right. Rather than government imposed policies where they can change. So it's like a unicorn. It can just
Exactly.
I was going to say the pessimist in me is saying, well, the government says that I when you say do you need it or not, the government says I don't need a survivor's pension. We'll take it from you. Thank you.
Yeah, because we can just
updated number.
Updated number, yeah.
Updated number, 2019 spousal violence of victims of emotional and financial abuse was 84.3%.
Wow.
Wow.
That's insane. That's insanity.
That's with the and financial abuse.
Oh,
yeah.
My gosh.
Do you want to know what it is without the and financial abuse?
60%.
25.8.
Okay.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is where UABI would be saving us, or GLBI, whichever program we go with, would be saving us billions of dollars in healthcare costs. It would be saving us billions of dollars in mental health costs. It'd be saving billions of dollars of providing medication to people that are taking antidepressants while they're on disability, because it's the only thing that stopped them from going and saying enough is enough, right? I mean, they're pushing people to a breaking point. And I just wish they would wake up before people decide, the hounds of the Baskervilles, as it were, we're coming for you. And if, right, you don't, let's stop let's go and solve it.
I want to know what the victims of spousal abuse or spousal violence, but not emotional or financial abuse is. What is that?
Well, you know the saying that
what would be spousal violence but not emotional or financial abuse?
Yeah.
Mental, I guess.
Because apparently that represents 0.6% of the population.
See, that's a problem, right? I mean, I look at this when I started looking at this, for GLBI, what you're talking about, I never realized how big of a spider plant I was going in looking at, right? I never realized how big this was. You see in
the movies, people make those conspiracy walls where they put like all the post-it notes on the wall when they start building the big huge web. I tried doing that. Everything fell off the wall from the weight of it.
Well, you know what I was gonna say is the saying that the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. It's a very famous saying, right? Well, I mean, that's kind of when the government says we don't have any more money for social budgets, for social support, there is no money. I mean, I wish government would say, like, please know what the other hand is doing, because you're wasting a shitload of money in health budgets and crime budgets because you're saying that there's no money here. All this money that you're saying, well, there's pots of money here.
But they themselves raise.
But we can't put more money here, but we can waste a shitload of money here in crime and health. You know, and it's like, can you please know what the right and the left hand are doing? And where, you know,
The problem with it now, Neil, is that they give themselves plenty of good raises. They hire massive amount of other administrative people within their ministries. They make more jobs within ministries upon ministries, and it's all that
And then they
bureaucratic
shuffle.
money
And
is
then they
billions
shuffle
and dollars.
them.
Yeah, billions and billions of dollars are just getting flushed, and it's like, where is it all going?
Yeah.
On average, in 2019, Canada spent $7,456 per person on social assistance. And like for all of Canada, like capita divided up, right? They spent $7,456 per person. And GLBI, as it was formulated in 2019 at that same time, was a net cost, like a gross cost, or net cost that the PBO had figured out of about $9,000 per person.
Mm-hmm.
So for $1,000 per person, they decided they didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is
But
insane.
it'll cost $1 million to put a kilometer of road down.
Yeah.
It'll cost, a Senate, finance meeting and, environmental and finance and, construction and, traffic and this and that and all these meetings to get this road set up, and then they put the road in. And then when it comes time for the developers to put the housing in, they're like, oh, red tape this, red tape that, red tape this, red tape that. And then by the time that they get the buildings built up, it's 5 years, 10 years later, the rents have tripled, and then all of a sudden people can't afford the homes that they thought that they were going to sell them in the first place.
Or they put the road in there
more and more and more.
Wrong spot.
See,
so we gotta rip it up again.
And this is
I walked downtown Hamilton the other day, and I'm down in the north end, right? Sorry, not downtown, past downtown, like west end. I'm at Dundurn, and I'm near Dundurn Castle, and I love going there because of the heritage, right, from the War of 1812, and the Underground Railroad. So I love the heritage of Dundurn Castle, and I'm down in that area, and I'm walking down the street beside it on Dundurn, and there's like a whole bunch of houses boarded up. There's like 5 houses boarded on Dundurn, and then there's 4 houses around the corner on the side street boarded up. So there's this chunk of land. But there's these this nice Asian couple and their daughter were cleaning out this house and pulling all the stuff out. And I'm like, oh, you're just moving out, eh? And they're like, no, we just bought the place. And I'm like, oh, so you're moving in? And they go, yeah. I'm like, you better keep it. He goes, yeah. And they go, so what's the deal with all the boarded houses? They go, oh, Shoppers Drug Mart bought it like 7 years ago. And they were going to put a development in here, and they didn't. And they didn't win with the city. So it's just been sitting here. And so they finally bought the one house that's actually in decent condition. And so Shoppers Drug Mart owns all these other houses and is doing absolutely nothing with the land. And they're just rotting. The houses are just rotting away. And I'm walking past it, and I'm going,
and this should be a crime.
Itself,
Let's
yeah, it should be a crime at that point.
Let's
because it's boarded up, it's not considered vacant. It's considered demolished. Or uninhabitable.
Over to you, Neil.
Sorry, I was just going to say, let's finish the show with a bit of humor.
Yeah,
George Carlin, and then we can do the final comments from everyone. So we'll just do that. We'll play that little clip from George Carlin, and then we'll do the final comments.
Sure.
Okay, before we do that, okay, let's see.
Yeah, and just to let everyone know, there's on the no roundtable number 7 on next Monday. It'll be the following Monday.
Okay,
Unless we could actually maybe squeeze one in, Neil, on Thursday or Friday of next week. We could maybe do a special little segment of the roundtable and then continue it back on the Monday, if everyone's fine with that, for next Friday, like a week from.
let's double check schedules first and.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
But
know
we can-
what we should do?
Yeah.
Since it's mostly the same members that keep showing up to this roundtable, Neil,
Yeah.
how about you create a Google account and make a calendar you can share with everybody? So that way we know what the schedule of the show is.
I already have. the calendar is already there.
Yep.
And it's been live for about maybe 2 months. Or has it been about 2 months? I created it. So if you actually on every video now, this is a good plug for the channel, because on every single video now, one of the links, the very bottom link it's called the PWD Allies calendar. If you click that, it shows you the upcoming show dates and times. And that's been live for about 2 months now. So that is a thing. It's a real thing. Yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's because you got a tiny URL there.
See,
Yeah,
that's the problem. We need bigger URLs. We're blind.
Make this big. Huge. Yeah.
You know,
So, I mean, we can always
You
do
should be-
more public service announcements and let people know, but it's there, people.
Neil, you should be taking advantage of that short links plugin for your site. So that way you can
My
do,
son
like,
does some of the short links. Yeah.
Yeah, do like daddybentlegs.com/PayPal, daddybentlegs.com/calendar, right? So that way you can do the plugs for the show. You can
Yeah.
also do like a subdirectory too, right? daddybentlegs.com/PWD/calendar. And then it's a quick link and you get to set the link. So that way when you want to update it, they've only got that one bookmark and you can keep updating it. So you can even do daddybentlegs.com/last show. And they can always go to the last show and click on the last show that you had.
Yeah.
and we can have a playlist set up on the website to for the.
Well, you've got the playlist on the website. I see this. It's
Okay, awesome.
pretty good, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that I've always found about comedy is sometimes you get the truth, and you get a lot of nuggets of truth in comedy, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which the comedian is or where you believe in their beliefs or whatever. It's like you find nuggets everywhere. I mean, I've watched comedians that fall on one side of the political aisle versus the other political aisle, and they talk about things that are practically the same sometimes. It's funny. And to me, the truth is the whole system is designed to keep us fighting against one another. And as George Carlin said, I have the screen up. I do believe I have the audio enabled.
As Jack Nicholson would say, the truth.
You can't handle it.
You can't handle the truth. Yeah.
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 All right, let me go.
And with
hit
all that
play.
being said, MJ is going to be playing us a little presentation here on behalf of.
Here we go. We have audio.
Now, to balance the scale, I'd like to talk about some things that bring us together. Things that point out our similarities instead of our differences. Because that's all you ever hear about in this country is our differences. That's all the media and the politicians are ever talking about, the things that separate us, things that make us different from one another. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing, happens to work. You know, anything different, that's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything they can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank. You know how I describe the economic and social classes in this country? The upper class keeps all of the money, pays none of the taxes. The middle class pays all of the taxes, does all of the work. The poor are there just to scare the shit out of the middle class. Keep them showing up at those jobs.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Dan,
George Carlin makes a point, and that is that the government's mindset is to get the money from the middle class to help the rich, have the lower income to scare the middle class to pay the taxes to the rich. But the problem is that if we just took care of the lower income, everybody would be middle class or more. Duh.
Right.
Well, exactly.
And now the middle class are now going down, and now they're scared shitless because they're going down, going, uh-oh, this is what's happening, and they don't know what to do. I mean, I see people.
Well, if they pay attention, that second scenario is only 6 to 7 million working Canadians.
Yeah, I know.
But they don't talk about it.
Of course
And
not.
then you wonder why the middle class is so disgruntled towards sorry, I got my camera off. So disgruntled
one
to
number
the lower
that's-
class.
See, and this is why I think,
The one number that doesn't change in any of those scenarios is the disability number, by the way. It doesn't change, no matter if it's scenario 1, 2, or 3. The disability amount does not change in those reports, which leads to show that everybody that had a disability that needed that $6,000 a year is low income.
Wow, that is harsh. Dan, what did you think of that funny the video?
Well, we're doing closing comments now, so this is your closing comment mic drop moment, Dan. So make good use of it.
Say what you need. Say what you need to say. Mic drop.
You're asking me to say something out here on Queen Street West. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I deeply apologize to all of you, man. I couldn't get a hold of the whatever the hell you call it, man, Wi-Fi or what have you.
Oh yeah. So good. Until next time. Yeah.
And I have no clue what the fuck you're asking me to comment on now, but I will comment on something. You know what? Each and every week that we do these rooms, no matter what it be about, basic income or streetcars or this clown fucking driving there trying to find a parking spot. You know what? I applaud you guys. I applaud each of you. And you know what? If you want me to comment on something later, let me know.
Yeah, it's just your perspective of what you're seeing on how governments are basically treating people with disabilities and low income people, seniors. I mean, you name it. Just an overview.
Oh, well, what the fuck? I live here in Toronto, Ontario, man. I got Doug Ford as my premier. You know what I mean?
Oh,
We're doing good here.
Yeah, good.
We're doing great here.
Yeah.
You know what? Look at this. Look at this.
We live in the province where our premier thinks that freezing welfare rates will kick them off of the program.
You know, in BC, Dan, I mean, they talk a lot about what's going on in Ford Nation. When I was at our Parliament building, I mentioned Ford, and they're like, oh yeah. He's just sinking the province right down to the ground. And I said, wow, I really hope that's not going to happen in BC. Oh no.
See, and I almost wish that his brother had lived and hadn't become premier, because it would have been a little more funnier. But the current situation is getting a little tragic.
Well, yeah, I look at it as, again, it's those stupid policy decision making that he's making. That's really destroying a lot of areas. I mean, you look at the green belt. I'm not going to get into all this because I know we have to do closing comments, but the green belt, I mean, it backfired on him. Social disability rates, I mean, in Ontario, I mean, my gosh, every other province is following as an example, and then they're saying, oh, well, if he's doing that, maybe it's okay. No, it's not okay, and vice versa. Is it give people the dignity, respect, the money that they need, and the resources that they need to thrive in this country, as we call it a great nation. We can make this better again. I know we can. And with the UABI, or GLBI or basic income, we can do this. I know we can. But over to I guess over to you, MJ, for closing comments, and then we can discuss on the calendar on the next segment.
So I deliberately changed into the pulsating background because I want
I
government to start to
love that background. Oh, it's
listen
yeah.
carefully
I
here.
forgot my-
This reminds me
feedback.
of Spinal Tap. Who's
Yeah.
who's watched Spinal Tap before?
Yeah.
Exactly. I want you guys to understand that, you sit here and you go and you look for billion-dollar solutions to the problem when there's people out here like us that are doing these roundtables that are thinking out of the box. And it's like, why don't you go and say, hey, how can I get a hold of all of these people? And let's see if we can have a Zoom meeting with them to see what they have got on the table. And let's put this together, because you guys are sitting here looking for solutions and you're not willing to go the distance to what it takes to actually solve them, and we're willing to go and tell you how to solve these problems, and we're willing to tell you what we need from the disability angle. So you can go and say, okay, we can cover that. But you guys have to come, stop looking to one or two great stories and just look at the totality of everything that the system is being done at the provincial level, how you guys are operating at the federal level, and solve this problem. It's not rocket science in any way, shape, or form. It's not rocket science. It's a very simple solution, and you guys and the rest of us could get together and we could solve this within 180 days. 180 days, we could solve this UBI problem and start to work to going implementing it. That's all it takes, because the law is already there to go and say, let's create it. And it doesn't take much to pass a law if you get the government on board and everybody willing to go and create the solution. Because we've seen how fast you guys can pass a law to go and get things expediently passed that are of a true interest to you. Helping your citizens should be your paramount importance. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem that way. And that needs to change, guys. It really does need to change. So, let's get to it. Let's start working together. Let's stop fighting with our imagined differences and solve the real problems.
Thank you, MJ, on that. Over to you, Alan, for closing comments on today's roundtable number 6 segment.
I think we need to look at what provinces like Manitoba, who have now had the historical, what's the word I'm looking for, victory of becoming the first NDP government on the Ontario platform, and kind of try to get in touch with them and see what their views on a UBI are, because I think if a province like Manitoba is open to the UBI from the federal, and it'll put pressure on the Doug Ford's, and if Doug Ford's like, oh, I'm not going to be part of that, or I'm not interested in that, or that goes against my best interest, well, he's going to look like the one man out with the chair with the music ends. So that sometimes bad pressure can be good pressure, I guess, is my takeaway.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. Thanks. There's always more that we can, talk about on the other segments for, when you do closing comments. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way. Thanks. That's awesome. That's great. Good idea. I'll have Jeff look into a little bit of that too, through his
I
network.
think it's the other way. That it looks like the Premier of Manitoba is open to making things more affordable for people. He's got the lens on what it's like to be a First Nations person. He knows what poverty has been like, because he probably grew up in it on the reserve. So if he's open to ideas like supporting a UBI, and he's willing to work with the provinces if they put the framework in. Then people like Doug Ford are just going to look like the bully on the campus and in the schoolyard, and karma will find him because he'll have he'll be put into a position where he's kind of like involuntarily signing up for it because all the feds have to do is go, you don't want to do this by choice, then we can hold back some transfers. But hopefully maybe he'll see that as a good thing. But I don't think Doug Boyd's going to go along with it voluntarily, is what I'm saying. That's my closing.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan. Over to you, Joseph.
Joseph's gone to the fridge again.
Okay. Over in the meantime, I'll go over to Dan for closing comments, and then we'll come back to Joseph.
Dan's not here anymore.
Dan's gone. Okay.
It's just MJ.
Okay, just over to Joseph. Well, okay, well, over to you, Neil, and then we'll go to Joseph, and then myself.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we had a good episode yesterday. It was fun. It was fun to talk to Ellen about photography, but we made some really good point, because I was trying to say how photography dovetails into advocacy, and I really do see the link there. And we were talking about the hive mind mentality of Twitter, and kind of the Borg collective mentality, if you want to call it that way, the Star Trek reference we talked about yesterday. And that kind of mentality is in our governments too. And we gave examples like Shane Simpson, and there's people like Mike Maurice and Benita Zerillo, people that are willing and able to stand on their own 2 feet and say this is BS. We need DERB, like DERB, or and they're going against the grain. And we need more governments and more officials to do that, because you have, this is only to highlight 2 people, but you basically have Mike Maurice and Benita Zerillo. They're 2 people, only 2 people, and they're basically fighting the hive mind mentality, or the Borg collective of the rest of government. And I mean that's not productive. We need more government officials to stand on their own 2 feet, say, I can think for myself. I don't need to buy into the Borg collective of the big government. I can make up my own mind, and I can stand up for DERB. But right now it's basically 2 people in the entire government of Canada. There's 2 people that are saying DERB, and everybody else is like, screw it, we're not going to do it.
Yeah,
because they don't want to try CERB again.
Yeah,
they don't want to try CERB again. They don't want to try something where people register for it. They want to keep with the government standard of, okay, we're going to have it where you have applied once into the program, you're registered. Maybe we get the data from the provinces. We don't want to do the hard work, so we want to negotiate with the provinces and get their data and get all of their stuff, but they got to make their own laws and regulations and all that first. We have to remember, we are trying with basic income and with the Canada Disability Benefit and with these federal benefits to rewrite laws that sometimes have been around for 60 or 70 years.
That's a good point.
And so and then not to mention that, but okay, now we want to have a federal program instead of, provincial programs, but maybe that province is still running their systems on tape machines or old infrastructure. And then the federal government comes in and goes, okay, I got state-of-the-art computers ready to go. And they're like, yeah, do you know how long it's going to take for us to transfer that over?
See,
Your
Windows
operating
95
system is like,
Windows 95.
yeah, we're running, Windows 3.1 right now, and you are all the way up at like, Windows, whatever the Windows is now, Windows 1000, whatever the fuck
11.
it is.
Windows.
11, thank you.
11, yeah.
So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so the transfer of the infrastructure takes time, and that takes negotiation. Now the federal government needs to hire the provincial government. The provincial government needs to hire the consultant, and then the consultant needs to hire, the actual, company
debater.
contractor that's going to transfer the data. And then they got to take the data, and then they got to put it through a privacy commissioner and make sure that it's private. It's okay.
right. And this is
finally
right.
get to you after you're old and gray and already ineligible for the fucking program.
This sounds like a George Carlin. This sounds like a George Carlin routine right now.
And then
Practically,
it's
yes.
like,
Well, actually, it's almost like Abbott and Costello, who's on first.
or it's like, here you go. Here's the disability derb, or what we call it.
Well,
Huh?
exactly. This the thing is, when it comes to solving these problems, they have the solutions that they could program into the CRA portal right away.
Oh, absolutely.
It could take them maybe eight weeks, maybe even less than that. Maybe it could take as little as 4 hours for them to do. Right? That's literally how simple it could be. To go and say, okay, we're going to put in a new tab. It's going to be UBI. It's going to be calculated over here. It's going to be this. It's going to be this. Bada bing, bada boom, bada boom, bada bing. And all these programs all over here. If you're on a provincial program,
services budget.
oh, exactly. And if you're on the federal disability program, and you want to go over here, just go and give us your client number that you're dealing with for the province. If you're on disability or welfare or COPCB or whatever, and you come over here, and you'll get this amount of money. You get all of this, including the insurance, and then you can go and tell them to go and have a nice day.
Yeah.
Right. And to me,
now what you're proposing there, MJ, now if they set up a portal and they said, okay, we're not promising that this is going to happen, but if it is going to happen, here is a portal where you put your name, your social insurance number, and what
you already have it
program
with the
you're on.
CRA.
Select the service, right?
Right,
No,
you already
I'm
have it.
saying,
Yeah.
why don't they create a form and collect the information now and say, if we're going to have this basic income, or if we're going to have this Canada Disability benefit, please provide us with your province, the program, the client number, and we'll get back to you. And that way they could start crunching the fucking numbers instead of relying on surveys and censuses from fucking 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it was long ago. Because that's the way that they're doing it now.
Well, that's so
I think MJ's got a point. They should be collecting the data now.
well, I mean, all they got to do is just get a hold of the province and say, look, we want a list of all the people that are on WCB with CERB, getting your child benefits. We want a list of all these things so we compare to the information we have. We want to put these numbers together, and we want to figure this out. Now, this should be part of this program of them trying to go and come up with this at the Senate. They should be going to the provinces and saying, let's get this numbers here, 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 and here. There's 13 jurisdictions. They just got to get a hold of the ministers and say, we need these numbers. We'd like the last 10 years of the numbers, and we'd like to see what the numbers are. We also want to go and have a breakdown of what you're paying these people as well, right?
Yeah. Under each finance minister of each province, and they've got the data. Boom, pull it.
Well, right, and the budgets.
But at that much aggravated data, you're facing privacy opposition at that point.
Well, no, you're not. You're not. If you're going with numbers and how much you're paying in general terms of like the number of people that
are you talking about deaggregated data, meaning like no names or anything?
Yeah.
But just
Yes,
like
yes,
how many
just
and
yes,
what category?
Yeah.
Okay, deaggregated data. So saying, for example, client, and you'll just get a random number. Client 1, it won't be your actual numbers. Like client 1,423 is on disability. He also has a nutritional supplement support. He has this support. He has this support, and he has this support, equaling this amount of money. But this guy over here, this client over here, just gets the basic amount of disability and the bus pass money or whatever, but he doesn't have all these other things, right? So then you can aggregate to go and figure out, okay, what's the level of support that we're going to need? What's the type of health insurance we're going to have to take a look at for these people? Will the health insurance cover it, or will we have to come up with a new health insurance model for this? How are we going to solve this? Right? Because when we take a look at these problems, there's always going to be more data than we realize to go and be put together to realize this situation is bigger than we understand.
And it'd be so easy. Yeah, it would be so
exactly.
easy to get that.
Deaggregated data would be basically how many people are on the system and how much it costs. Right?
They could just attach and put John Doe, Jane Doe, John Doe, Jane Doe.
Exactly. You
How many
don't need.
John Does do we have in Jane Does, and then they kind of throw it in there without any names or cities where they're attached to. And
well, exactly. Deaggregated data is very easy to do. They can pull this information. They do it for the budget. Okay, they already do this for the budget to figure out how much they're going to need for the next fiscal year. So that information is already on the internals, and that, like, the deaggregated data is what they use for the regular budgets. So that information is available to the federal government. They say, look, we need the deaggregated for this.
But we don't know how to do it, though. We don't know how many people are on the systems. Send them down through the matrix.
Well, I mean, it's publicly available information, and this is the problem. This is the problem. The solution is simple.
Okay, sorry. I want to clarify the terms. So aggregated data is when you have multiple data sources that are combined into one set. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
With a larger idea of a particular issue. So you're aggregating it all. But deaggregated data means that the isolation or one or more variables within the data set. So you're talking about aggregated and deaggregated data at the same time.
Yes, we need both, because for not every person on disability is disabled to the same amount, right? Other people are completely disabled.
Some get diet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but what happens is privacy experts get in there and they get the nitty gritty, right? They're like, oh, well, in this jurisdiction, there's only 4 people that are on this disability. So if you put their statistics out there, they're going to know exactly.
Well, that's why you'd have to do it on the provincial basis of a full province.
Yeah.
That way you couldn't go and say, oh, there's only 5 people in this town, 20 people here.
To aggravate it to a point for privacy. And that's where a lot of these reports get wrong, because they only go so far.
Well, right. And
they only go so far.
See, to me, solutions should not be complex.
Exactly.
And I'm one of these people. I believe in the KISS rule. Keep it super simple, and
keep it simple, stupid.
Or exactly super, or super stupid, right?
Keep it simply smart is also a good PG-13 version of it. Is
right? And this solving these problems don't have to be complex.
But the government loves complicated situations.
Of course they do. That's how they make a profit.
Who's that line from Forrest Gump? What are you, stupid or something?
We should get the government to watch The Matrix.
There you go.
What we need to do.
Government is a matrix.
What we need to do is get rid of this complex level of matrix and have it so it's like yes or no, take it or leave it. And have a nice.
What was that movie? I forget the title of it now, but you mentioned a while ago, Joseph, of your big thing on the wall, and it was all a big mess. But there's that guy that can't remember, but he takes photographs or something, and he writes on the photographs, and the whole movie is done kind of backwards. What is that movie? Now it's gonna bug me.
I can't remember.
But you kind of know what I mean, though. There's that one. He's kind of losing his mind. He doesn't remember, and the whole movie, like the movie starts at the end and goes back to the beginning, and so like you as a viewer are watching this, not kind of really confused. And what I was gonna say is the government's kind of like that, right? They start at the end and they work back toward to the beginning.
Well, because they think that the trickle down method works.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't, because it costs money for trickle down.
Yeah, but then there's the other one. There's what was that, Men in Black? Remember? Just look right at that, and You don't
You know
remember
how-
nothing. You look
You
right
know
at it,
how
go,
that was done, right?
yeah,
You know how that was done, the visual effects
Yeah.
for
so cool.
the
I love that.
neuralizer.
Yeah.
All ILM.
There was not even a light bulb in the neuralizer. Did you know
Oh,
that?
It's
no.
all ILM, I know.
No, it was actually for the original Men in Black. It was actually a person standing behind the camera with a real life flash, the
Yeah.
antique flash, and the antique flash was aimed right at the center of that reflective.
Oh my. That
I
was so
remember.
cool.
And
I remember the movie.
camera
Sorry,
would capture that flash coming from behind it if
I-
you actually looked at it.
I remember the movie now. I just had to look it up. It's Guy Pearce is the actor, and it's Memento.
Memento.
Do you
Okay.
remember? Do you remember that movie Memento? And it's like I said,
No.
it starts at the end and works your way forward, and everything is basically filmed backwards. So you as a viewer watching it are all like messed up, and by the time you get to the beginning of the movie, you're like, what the hell happened? You know?
Yeah,
But it's really
Most
well
people
filmed.
say-
Yeah.
most conspiracy theorists are like, oh, you're gonna have a social credit score and all this kind of stuff. We already do.
I love those.
You already have 2 credit scores in Canada, right? You already have, your employer scrubbing your your employment history through your social media and going through your LinkedIn and going through your stuff online and finding out pictures about you and what people say about you, and they can check your references and call your neighbors and do that kind of stuff. So you already have a social credit score, it's just not published.
Yeah.
See, the problem people think about this whole social credit score is the dystopian side of things.
Mhm.
And we've all seen the dystopian side of things portrayed out. And the other side of it is, yes, it is controlling your behavior. That is true. But at the same time, their system that they talk about is not about bettering you, it's about controlling you. But there are options to go and use the same thing to create a better society, but they'll never do that. They don't want to
Did
create a
any-
better society, they want to create a controlled society.
Did anybody see a show? I think it came out. I think it came out
Okay.
around 2012. It's an AI program about surveillance. It's called Person of Interest.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it had Jeff.
Jeff Caviezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually on. I started watching it over again. I'm on season 4 now. I think the first 2 seasons were the best, but it's still interesting because it's more relevant now than it was back then. It was just an idea, but it's actually becoming so implemented now.
Well, actually, the movie In Time, it's another dystopian movie, and it's basically where your money is your time, right? And your time is your money. Like literally, you have a clock in your arm, right, that counts down how much life you have left. So basically, you
I
don't
see
waste your
that
time.
one.
You don't waste your time,
This one?
having conversations with people. 'Cause you don't have the time, right?
It's fine.
Because it
You
can cost
have
you your life,
time.
right?
It's
It
called
cost you your
In
life.
Time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's a Justin Timberlake movie. It's actually a good movie. Sure, it's a bank robbery and heist movie, but the premise of the dystopian part of where they can just arbitrarily upgrade the interest rates on the money that you loan or the exchange rates or the cost of the money, right? So where it has less value seems to be very accurate to what's going on today with these interest rates of how they're playing this game.
It always reminds me of a movie. It's called The Time Traveler. I saw it, and you go into that little phone booth. You head there, the guy's like,
Or how about the movie Paycheck? Does anybody
Oh,
remember
Paycheck,
that?
yeah.
That was a good movie. I like that movie.
That was the one where he goes and he's working on this classified project that can see into the future or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, it was a good
Yeah.
one.
It was a
And then-
great movie, yeah.
See,
Well,
they've put all these
What was that
dystopian.
one with the red balls? And you could see when somebody was going to be murdered, they could tell. Right before it was being murdered.
That was
Yeah,
the
the
Tom Cruise one.
Minority Effect or Minority Report.
Report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minority Report, that was a good one.
That was good too. Yeah.
Only if they could do that with social services, we'd be
Maybe we
perfect.
should just do maybe we should just do a podcast just talking about movies.
Yeah, no, we should. No, we should. We should, yeah.
Well, I mean, we take a look at all the
I don't know if I
dystopian.
could sign up permanently for one of those because I work in the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
See, but the dystopia that they've designed in all these movies they've built and all the rest of this stuff, you know, a lot of people are saying, oh, the conspiracies and this and that. And I'm like, you know, in life, in society, sometimes we have to change how things are being done.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, a lot of people don't understand how big the problems truly are in Canada. We have generations that live in middle of nowhere towns, right? That are basically retirement communities. And when those people go, those communities will eventually go away. And populations will downsize. The population in Canada, I think, is like 1/3 or not even 1/3 under 40 right now. Right? It's under 50% for being under 40. And that shows us how much of a population squeeze that we're currently facing because of our government's poor management, where they could have designed this 30 years ago, right? To give people the relief to be able to go and get their lives together, have children, build generations, you know, and we'd have all of these things that we would be sitting here having to figure out how to automate, you know, right? And go and say, well, there's not enough people to work. Well, that's right. They're all retiring.
But people with disabilities don't deserve nice things. That's the truth.
No, it's like no, but hey.
Anyway, we do have to wrap up. We do have to wrap up. So I'm going to give you the last word, Brent.
Okay.
And everybody has to be quiet. Brent's got the last word, and then we got to go. We got to punch out.
Okay, let's all make funny faces at Brent. While you just pin Brent so nobody else can see us making funny faces.
No, it's fine. We'll just leave it. We'll just leave it.
All right. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you joining on today to our roundtable number 6. It's been the roundtable roundhouse today was awesome. I mean, it was great. I mean, basic income, different viewpoints on how to get there, holding government accountable because of all the inequalities. One thing I wanted to throw in there, which my ending comment, kind of what MJ was just saying, like the government's just so used to doing it the same way. And that to me is called the status quo because it's always worked that way for decades and decades. You know, we don't want to change it. Copy, paste. You got to listen, government, please listen to lived experience stories, lived experience of people with disabilities in this country, not just your stakeholders, your shareholders, your stakeholders. Yeah, important. But you know what? The most important part is listen to the lived experience of real people who have disabilities, how the government programs that are designed inadequately right now and how they're affecting people's lives. Basic income is the way to go. I know you're going to be kicking and screaming and listening to us going, how dare you go? Well, you know what? Status quo ain't working. So let's give people a dignified life in this country. Give them the autonomy to make decisions.
Joseph can do this. Joseph can do this.
Yeah. Give them the basic income. Okay. Like give them the autonomy to make decisions that are based on what works good for them, not what government says. Yeah, no, we have control. You need to have a day pass or month pass. You know, you need to write a declaration. Have you been incarcerated in the last 30 days? Anyway, I can keep rambling, everybody, but I won't. I'll continue that on the next segment on the Roundhouse. So please subscribe to Neil Matheson's YouTube channel, daddybentlegs.com. You can go to, and you can see all the tabs, everything that's there. You can do a Google search on PWD Allies. It's there.
The calendar's there. The calendar's
there. Everything's there. You'll see when the next show is. Subscribe, stay up to date on any new episodes that come up. Until then, until next segment, thank you everyone for tuning in today.
Thank
you.